She had a job that 90% of people would kill for: private jets, yachts, an American salary in Eastern Europe, but she felt like she was living someone else's life. And that's when today's guest, Sara Vezensek, realized that she'd hit her breaking point. From super yachts and luxury to starting over with early morning content creation in a gym, her journey to building an online business is really, truly nothing short of inspiring. In this episode, we look at what it really takes to walk away from a, quote, dream job to pursue something more aligned with your soul. Sara shares how she transitioned from managing multimillion-dollar projects on the high seas to helping women create location, time, and financial freedom through online business. We talk about how to prepare for a pivot while you're still in your 9-to-5 job, the power of content with purpose and not just for the algorithm, and why going viral isn't the goal and what is. And we talk about much more than that. Now, Sara is the real deal. She's built her business organically, working just 15 hours a week while hitting 6-figure months. And her mission is to help women step into the ultimate freedom that they want on their terms. So if you've ever felt stuck in a life that looks great on paper, but really doesn't light you up inside, you need to hear this. Welcome to the Online Business Launchpad podcast. I'm Trudy Rankin, and I help people who need a flexible work-from-home option grow the online side of their business so they can earn more, stress less, and have greater freedom in how they live. And today, I've got Sara Vezensek with me, and she's got a really, really interesting story that she's going to be sharing with us. She is an online business coach and mentor, but she started out living a life that I think most of us would think would be absolutely fantastic. And she's going to tell us why she actually left it all and decided to do something else. So thank you so much for being on the podcast, Sara. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to hopefully inspire at least one person to go after their dreams. And I'm such a believer that it's so much harder to leave something that is good than something that is bad. And that's kind of what I had to do, especially in the eyes of so many people around me. And it's so true what you said. I had a job that I would say 90% of people would kill for, really like living the life of like the rich and famous and flying around on jets and yachts and all of that. But deep down, it was just really not fulfilling. And I was just kind of stuck living someone else's life versus my own.
Yeah, do you want to just tell us a little bit more about what you were actually doing when you were living that so-called dream life?
Of course. So I was 23 when I became the youngest owner's representative. So I was the main person of the owner of a super yacht. So between a captain, between him, his girlfriend, design teams, crew. So I was just like the middleman or woman for, I would say, 200 to 400 people, managing a project, doing renovations. And in the beginning, it was my dream job. I was so excited at 23, like needed to prove myself and so grateful because I was getting an American salary working for technically I had my own company in Slovenia. So I was living the dream. I was getting like my parents' salary in a month. I was just like, this is, I'm thriving. But then about 2 years in, or let's say three, the new things, all the challenges kind of went away. And I could see that and I got really bothered by this. And this is when it clicked. My mom said, like, yes, okay, you're earning amazing money, but you're working 18 to 20-hour days every day, no weekends, no holidays. So you're technically getting the same as we are. We just have free time. And I was like, excuse me. But then I did some calculations and it was true. And I was like, oh my God. I am breaking my back for something that's not like life-changing money. It was good money, but it wasn't like throw your life away, you're gonna live off of that forever. So that's when I started thinking like, you know what? I'm actually living on their schedule. I'm always available, like attached to my phone. Like we could not do this. I would have my phone right here on loud. It would be dinging and I would be like looking down, trying to make sure. And it in that moment I realized that I'm exchanging my time for money in an even deeper way. So it was time to change something. So that's when I kind of started exploring what else is there where I can still be obsessed with what I do.
And how did you make the change then? Once you realized that you knew what you didn't want, how did you figure out what you did want and then move towards it?
That's a really good question because, as I mentioned before, I am really good at noticing when I stop becoming like obsessed with something or where happiness is going away versus waiting till it's do or die. And I always call it like this when my plan A is kind of like the flame is going away, let's put it that way. I already start collecting timber for plan B or see whatever that might be. So then while my plan A is still in action, plan B can be developed and then it's just a nice switch versus throwing everything away, starting from scratch, figuring it out. So I remember it was 2023. So I was about 3, 4 years in. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, I always wanted my own business, always. But the only example of a business that I had was seeing adult, tired men with Ferraris or Porsches, balding, exhausted, coming home from work. And I'm like, that's not the dream. Like, yes, you have the money, but like, I have the money. I don't want that. And then I saw an ability. It was new decade, like all of that. And I saw, okay, you know what? I can actually create a business online and I can work from anywhere in the world. I can share my expertise. I can actually help people. And the main priority for me was I always wanted women to live the life that I had, but I didn't know how to give them that because I was working for someone else. So I can't just hire thousands of women. So that was the motivator of me starting to explore an area of having an online business.
So I'm a little confused because you just said that you got to the place where this dream thing that you were doing wasn't really a dream. It was more like a nightmare. And but you're
Mhm.
saying you wanted to help women live the life that you had. Do you want to just clarify that just a little bit?
For sure. So what I mean by that is because there was really good perks to the job, right? Like I got to experience insane things and I got to be paid for it, as in traveling to, I think I went to like 50 plus countries and I organized amazing excursions and all of that, but it was on someone else's budget, which means it was on someone else's time, it was on someone else's terms. Now, I got to do all of that, but then it clicked to me that if I do that with my own money and with my own free will, then I can experience that and invite my family or take my friends or some stuff like that. So I had the life that I actually wanted on paper. I just had to tweak the details of who was controlling it, if that makes sense. And it was in that moment where I was like, okay, I want more women to experience this, but on their own terms. And then I call it ultimate freedom because I had the financial freedom back then, but I didn't have the time and location freedom. So money didn't do anything because it was just sitting in my bank account, which is not bad. But now, what I teach women and men, but mostly women, is how to get the ultimate freedom. So location, time freedom, and financial freedom, because then the world is your oyster.
So I'm just curious because I know that a lot of people just dream about that whole time and location and financial freedom, but they have a family. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's not the work that's the thing that's, stops the dream. It can be the fact that you
Hmm.
have got responsibilities towards other people. How do you work with people? How do you deal with that?
That's a really good question. And I myself am not a mom, so I cannot say that I know how it is. I have a lot of moms who are my clients, so I have an idea. But I would put it this way. If you want something and it's your priority, you will prioritize time for that. Now, when it comes to building a business, what I see, especially like my mom clients, is it's going to take longer. It's going to be harder in the beginning because, you will have 2 hours here and there. But if you enlist your partner, if you enlist like help from others, like it can be done. That's all, but I'm not saying it's easy. And the reason I know it can be done is for one, because there's many moms who are business owners and entrepreneurs and incredible moms and single parents, whatever that might be. But I also saw it in me because when I started developing and gathering Tinder for my plan B, I was still working at my job, which meant I had no time. Also, for your listeners to imagine, I was on a yacht with 30 people and I couldn't tell them what I'm doing because I would have been fired on the spot. So I got up at 5, was recording my videos in the gym away from everybody, scripting things in between parties. So you have time. It's just, will you prioritize it and put in the effort necessary in the beginning? And I would say it this way, if you can lock in for 1 year without any expectations, without being disappointed because you posted once and nothing worked or like anything like that, it's an incredible way to talk to people who are your dreamy clients and get them in. It's like, I feel like we figured out like a cheat code in life and it doesn't really seem real because now, a year and some months in, like I'm working 5-hour days, if, which, is unheard of for a traditional business owner, I would say.
So I'm curious, you mentioned doing videos at the gym. So you spent a significant period of time, I suspect, doing what you've just said, which was talking about what you're talking about, posting it up on social media, YouTube, and then tell us just a little bit more about that period of time where you're doing that. And what is it that you're finding out about your clients, potential clients?
In the beginning, I would say that starting a business is already challenge. I don't want to say hard, but it's a challenge. And then when you add the part where you get to put yourself out on social media, that's an extra challenge, right? Because you are technically, the feeling is that you're failing publicly, which is 10 times worse than failing in private, right? So it's scary. But while you do it, I would love your listeners to come away with that is you become not just the business part, but like when you put yourself out there, you become a completely different person in the best way possible because it just nothing really matters because you understand why you're doing it. I never did it just for the money or just for, there was this bigger reason and bigger why where I wanted to share what I found out with people. And when you do it that way, it resonates, you get better. Your first video is going to be absolutely terrible. So that's how it goes, except if you're a trained professional. But what really mattered to me and why I chose the social media route, which you don't have to, is because I didn't want to do networking events. I didn't want to do in-person things because, again, location freedom. So if I could get my social media that you post a minute of you talking and then you go back to your life, you're not an influencer. I was like, you know what? This is a great mini sacrifice and it helps you articulate things better, just like forms you in a different person. But to your question, what I found out with my clients is it was a challenge to see how to speak to them
Mhm.
in different ways about the same thing without sounding like a parrot and for them like to click what I'm actually talking about.
And that is a challenge I think most small business owners face. It is a tricky one. And I'm smiling a little bit when you're talking about the challenge of getting out there on social media because I am not a social media person. I don't really enjoy it. I'm hardly ever on social media, if ever. But I joined, I don't know if you're aware of Pat Flynn, but Pat Flynn is one of the people out there. He's been around forever who helps people start businesses and grow them, online businesses. And I'm doing his 30-day short form video challenge.
Hmm.
So for 30
Nice.
days, you actually post something up on social media. And it's just been interesting because I'm not afraid of video. I don't mind talking to a camera. That's not a problem. The problem is getting used to all the different platforms and trying to make
Hmm.
sure that what you have to say is going to work in the format that they require. And not every audience is the same on all those platforms. So I'm just
Mm-mm.
curious, which social media platforms do you tend to focus on and why?
That's a good question because I feel like social media and like all these platforms are very different, as you said. My favorite is Instagram and TikTok just because I'm really good at talking to the camera. That's my easy way to do it. Now, if you're really good with writing or something like that, then LinkedIn is amazing for that, right? When you technically don't really have to speak to the camera, you can just write it. I don't really do YouTube yet. I feel like once, maybe like this year, end of the year, I can start giving more because my business now is taking off, so I can focus on something else. But Instagram and TikTok are my favorite because I get access to people. I can go on a live. I can, coach them like complete strangers. And it's just very exciting. But what I want to say is that I think most people overcomplicate it. And what I do and how I teach content is that I teach you sales psychology. So we're not just posting to post, right? And throwing spaghetti at the wall and like figuring it out. There's an actual 5-step process that you do each week that leads people from like curiosity to learning something to then hopping into your world, and it works like a charm. So at the end of the day, you post 5 times a week and you know that you're guaranteed to at least get people in your DMs asking about what you do. I'm really not the type of person that's like, I don't like to be an influencer. That's like the main thing I tell business owners, because nothing wrong with that, but I don't want to live my life online. I want to, this is purely marketing and it's for free. That's what I do, take it off, and then focus on other things.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Pardon me. I was going to ask, do you just basically do organic on social media or do you use ads?
No, I do strictly organic. And this is where I would want to add a note. Nothing wrong with ads. I think they work beautifully, but they won't work if your organic doesn't work. So
Huh.
before you spend an arm and a leg, which is what I did in the beginning because I didn't know, and I was like, oh my God, I need reach, right? You can have millions of views on a bad piece of content that didn't perform. And okay, yes, with million views, you're going to get a little bit of results, of course, because it's more eyes. But if your organic isn't working, you are wasting so much money on an ads expert. So wait till it clicks or get someone to explain content to you so you see a result organically, then put money behind it with ads, you are thriving. But just saving you some money before you spend it on like the pro marketing expert and they don't tell you that and they just take your money.
So that brings me to my next question. And I have to confess, this is my own curiosity based question because of my 30-day challenge thing that I'm doing. And that is in the training that I did before I started this challenge, they talk about what do we call this glass ceiling of 200, whatever.
The 200 view gel, is that
Yeah,
what
kind
they
of pretty much, yeah. You sort of, so people find it hard to get past that. What did you
Mm.
do to get to the stage where you were breaking through that ceiling?
See, that's a really good question. And I feel like most people teach you how to break out of this like 200 view gel. And what I do is I teach you how to speak to those 200 people, because that's 200 people in a room. If, for example, you had to speak in front of 200 people right now, let's say you've never spoke in front of 200 people, you would probably shit your pants because you're like, damn, that's 200 people in the room. It's not like five, right? Or maybe people would be excited, but I know that I would be a little nervous. But then because it's on social media, we're like, oh, it's like 200 views. So what I teach is how to be so specific on who you speak to, and it's a one dreamy client, then it doesn't matter if it's 100 views, 50 views, 700 views. The important thing is that you speak with intention. And normally, when you're going to break out of the 200-person jail or whatever you want to call it, is when it resonates with people. That's the only thing. You can have 10,000 followers and have 100 views on a video, or you can have, my client had 69 followers and, she went viral. So it's about what resonates. And no one, and I promise you, no one knows how to actually go viral, because otherwise, every single video that they would post would go viral. They might have strategies of how they went viral. So I would say speaking to the audience that you want to speak to so clearly that they basically feel like you're reading their mind. And I call it talking to their aha moments. So instead of saying, five business tips that will get you to X, Y, and Z, which is how every single entrepreneur sounds like online right now, especially with ChatGPT, is talking about a specific moment of being like, hey, it's 10 p.m. You just got off 15th call for the day. You're exhausted. So now you open up your computer and you wanted to write a course outline, but you're banging your head against the wall because yes, you know the transformation. Yes, you know the process, but you have absolutely no idea how to structure it into a transformation, not just some passive offer. And people are going to be like, how the hell do you know that? I'm like, well, because I was you a year ago. And that's what's important. Like you could be a multimillionaire with 100 followers and 100 views on your videos. That's where I think most people focus on virality and visibility and all of that, which is important, but it like calmed me down when I figured out I was like, oh, followers don't matter at all. I don't need to be successful when I can be successful now.
You see, that's really, I think, relevant and very pertinent because I know a lot of people do believe that whole it's got to be a numbers game. But I like the analogy of if it's people in the room, you wouldn't be turning up your nose at that number, at those numbers. You'd be going, wow. So I think that's important to
Exactly.
remember. And, it's the same for whether you've got a YouTube channel or whether you're on social media or whatever. And also the size of your email list as well, because
Hmm.
you can have a really small number of people on your email list and still be really, really successful. I want to sort of circle around a little bit and just touch on something that I know is a bit of a hidden bugbear for a lot of small business owners. And usually it's the women business owners, but it's that's not so much that many times, not so much that they're afraid of not succeeding. They are actually afraid of succeeding, especially when it comes to going viral or of basically being able to command higher prices or succeeding financially. And so a lot of times people end up sabotaging themselves so that they don't go past that comfort barrier of, oh, I'm just in this little box. Can you just talk about that just a little bit and how you work
Oh,
with your clients to help them get over those mindset barriers?
oh yeah, of course. I think that's, you always hear people say it's like 95% subconscious inner work and 5% strategy. And it's really true. And we focus majority of what we do on strategy. Everybody can give you the best strategy in the world. If you don't believe that you're worthy, that you can hold 100K a year, 200K, a million a year, like whatever that ceiling is for you that you haven't done before, your body and your subconscious will try to sabotage you. And I think number one thing is awareness. If you are actually aware of your thoughts, what you're doing, this is why, like, your thoughts create your reality. I think, it's nothing new that I'm talking about. But you will notice that even let's say that today is my first interview, and I would be like, oh, my inner thoughts are gonna be like, oh no, but like you can reschedule. It's 7 a.m. in the morning. Like you can fall asleep or you can turn off the alarm. It's not that important. That's how it's going to sound like in your mind. And the more you get comfortable in the uncomfortable and you understand that if you want to get what you don't have, you will have to let go of everything that you accomplished so far and like put it behind you because you can't have this new life holding on to your old life. It's like cleaning out the closet so you can put some new clothes in. And I would say what I do is I have a subconscious rewiring expert. I do a lot of EFT on myself. I actually have like a video of how to shift yourself out of it with like, have you ever tried EFT
I have not heard of it.
tapping?
What is it?
So it's a tapping method, and I am not an expert at all, but I've learned through, I think I had like 10 different experts for subconscious because it's so important for your growth. And you have to always work on yourself. But basically, it's tapping on points on your body. So you start on the top of your head, then you move to like your eyebrow, outside of the eye, below your eye, nose, above your lips, chin, and then like two more parts on your body. And it basically gets you back into your body and you're speaking words through it. There's a lot of videos online too, so if people want to check it out, it basically shifts you of whatever you're feeling. Let's say you're feeling really sad or angry or anxious or fearful or whatever that emotion is, with speaking and tapping, it will just go away. There's some, I don't know the actual science behind it, but it's amazing for instantaneous relief. So whenever I see myself spiraling, whenever I make a big investment that I know is necessary, but you look at this big chunk of money going out of your account and you're panicking because losing quote unquote money is not unsafe. So I would just sit there, breathe, come back to my body. And the other thing that I would mention, it's really important to have your bigger why. Because if you're creating a company to earn money, you're 99% not going to be successful because it's going to be too challenging for just the money reward. So if you have that bigger why to come back to and a support system of like-minded people,
Mhm.
someone who has done something that you're trying to achieve before, because in that moment you can call them, you can DM them, you can chat to them, and they're gonna be like, you know what? This is normal. We all go through it, and it just kind of takes it away. They can give you advice, which I think most entrepreneurs self-sabotage, as you said, because they don't have the right type of support around them, and that's why mentors are so important, or communities or something like that.
I think it's interesting what you're saying because one of the areas that I sort of work in the most is I coach people who are either neurodiverse or they have people in their family who are neurodiverse and they're caring for those people. And they are limited in how much time they have available. They are, in many ways, limited by the context in which they live. And they are challenged by the things that they have to learn and do and be able to get comfortable with. And it's interesting that you've raised that as a potential mechanism that you can use for just getting out of your head for a little while because you can really seriously self-sabotage yourself. But it's interesting. As I said, I hadn't heard of that particular. I've heard of tapping. I hadn't heard it called what you called it before,
EFT, yeah.
the EFT. But yeah, but it makes sense because you're forcing your brain to focus on something else, which makes it
Hmm.
take away the focus on what you were spiraling around. So that makes a lot of sense. But I'm curious, how do you get around or help your clients get around that concept of I'm not worth the money. I'm not that valuable. Why should I be so lucky to get that much money? I don't deserve it. That's the thing that I
Hmm.
hear. I don't deserve it. How do you help people out with that?
I think a really good question for all, like even your listeners, is that's the reason you're basically stuck. Literally, whatever you want, right? So, for example, let's say that you're on social media and you're wanting to go viral. Let's just pretend that that's the case, because that means more eyes, more money, more everything. And then the number one thing that I would ask you is, okay, so what would happen if you go viral tomorrow? How would that feel? And you're going to be like, oh my God, my systems are not ready. I couldn't hold 50 clients. I don't have my course ready. I can't actually, there's all these things that will come up that you will see that if that happens tomorrow, your body's not ready, you're not ready, your business is not ready. So how do you think that you're going to do that if you can? So that's number one. If you're ever asking yourself, why I aren't I at 50K months, why aren't I like whatever that question is, ask yourself what would happen if that happens tomorrow? How would you feel? Because sometimes you're ready, but your body isn't ready, right? Sometimes everything's ready and you're just like, why is this not happening? And then you're like, oh my God, I'm afraid to be seen. I'm so uncomfortable holding that much money. And I would say that worthiness, you were born worthy. The day you were born worthy, you have nothing to prove. No money in your bank account is making you more important or less important. It can make your life better and easier, but that's nothing to do with worth. And when you start looking at money as this, like I look at life as a video game, like in a serious and not serious way, because sometimes we get to play a little bit instead of being so rigid with it. And money to me are tokens that are coming in that I can use for different experiences, to level up, to buy a different weapon or outfit or whatever it is in a video game that you would spend your tokens for. So when you don't look at it as this serious, heavy thing, I also tell my clients, and I think this is a really fun game for them. Instead of money, which has this like negative thing attached to it, right? Like it's this scary thing, I can't have it. So I do two things with them. I have a whole course on just money mindset, which is where you get to shift out of it. But a really fun one is to see your relationship with money, to write money a letter in the third person and be like, hey, money, I want to have you, but you're never around. Every time I give you away, I panic and I never feel taken care by you. And you will see when you're talking to money like a person what your actual relationship is to money to just give you perspective. So if you then talk to it like that and think of it as like you have this relationship with it, you're being really bad to your partner. So no wonder that your partner, quote unquote, money is not taking care of you. And the second thing in this case that you can do is I name money honey. Because then all of a sudden is this fun word versus, oh my God, money and like there's not enough. And we're like, every time, and I mean every time you see money, coins, you'd be like, thank you, honey. Oh my God, like I just got to pay my bills. I would look at your bank account. I know you don't want to if you're struggling with honey, right? But look at your bank account and be grateful. Number one, you have a bank account. Two, you're able to pay your bills. Three, you have a bed, a roof, health insurance, car. Maybe it's not where you want it to be, but if you don't approach your life and everything that you currently have with gratitude and abundance mindset, and you're holding everything in, you will never get more ever because you're not allowing more in. And for someone like I've lost, like I had it all, I lost it all, I was so much in debt, someone stole all my money. I've been on both ends of the spectrum. And even in the depths of literally having more than zero to my name, I would still give, if I got 10 euros in Slovenia, I would still give a euro away to a homeless person. I wouldn't give them 10, right? Because I just had 10. But there's always this energy of there's plenty of. And the last thing I want to mention here, it's a really good mind game that I think will change how you and people will walk around the world. So let's say that Trudy right now is like, Sara, here's a check for $1 million. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I'm going to go to the bank and I will cash this check for $1 million. But they say, this is amazing, great, everything's going to go through, but you're going to get the money in 30 days. We just need to process it. For the next 30 days, you will walk, talk, celebrate, look at life like you have $1 million. Nothing has changed. Like I just got you. Nothing has changed. I can guarantee you, you're going to get a raise at your job, an opportunity coming your way. You're going to make a deal, buy something. Like your life will change just because you think and believe that you're getting $1 million, $10,000. It doesn't matter what it is, but your thoughts and brain create your reality. So if you focus on that, that's what your brain will notice. So this was a lot of cool exercises that people can do, and they're so simple and for free, but like your brain is the most powerful machine that you have on your body.
I think that's really fascinating because, like I said, a lot of people have sort of, it's not really even a love-hate relationship with money. It's just a completely different sort of a relationship. And I like the fact that you can actually, by using your brain and using some of these games, you can actually change the way that you feel about how you relate to and use money. I think that's really, really important. It's been really, really interesting talking with you, Sara. And I guess I'm just thinking out loud here, but do you have something that you can share with people that they would find useful and helpful in this space?
I do. I think the two best things that I can give you, I see this with beginners or people who are beginners on like the online space, right? Is number one, you do not know what and how to create leverage how to share your knowledge with like one to many, right? Because even if you're an entrepreneur working one-on-one, you're still exchanging your time for money, and that's not the ultimate freedom I was talking about before. So what I would like to share with, if this is resonating with you, is I have a masterclass that I will send the link to. It's called Your $1 Million Course Idea, where I show you how with your current knowledge that you have, that is enough that you already know that you could teach and educate people how to structure it. And it uses like prompts, and basically in 30, 40 minutes, you're going to have a full outline to get inspired and see what you can create. And the second one that I would like to share for someone who is further along, but is maybe just struggling how to scale their business, how to actually reach more people, is my masterclass. I call it Money Breakthrough, of how I was with 15-hour work weeks able to hit like 100K in sales in 30 days. The actual strategy of what I teach, how to set up sales psychology, everything that we kind of touch base on, where you can deep dive in it with notes and all of that. So I would love to share those two with your audience, and they can come and look and explore and do all of that.
Fantastic. I'll make sure I put those in the show notes. And if people were interested in getting in touch with you, or maybe just finding out more about you, where's the best place for them to go?
It would be the easiest to find me on Instagram. So it would be SARAVEZ Coach, Sara Vez Coach. You can find me there. There's a link to my website, to my free offers, to me. Like, happy if you slide in my DMs. I'm an open book, so I'll always respond and chat to you.
Okay, fantastic. Well, once again, it's been great talking to you. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you've ever thought, is this really all there is? Then Sara's story is your sign to start collecting timber for your own plan B. Now, I loved how she shared both the glitz and the grit, from yacht management to recording videos in secret at 5 a.m. It's not about perfect timing or flashy launches. It's about getting clear on what you want and being brave enough to build it. So if today's episode gave you a spark, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone else who needs that nudge to take action. Because your feedback helps other people find this podcast and helps me to bring you even more inspiring stories and strategies. And by the way, if you're building the online side of your business, don't miss out on my newsletter, where I share practical tips and behind-the-scenes lessons from people who have actually made it work. You can sign up at onlinebusinessliftoff.com/newsletter. That's onlinebusinessliftoff.com/newsletter. And thanks so much for listening.